walls of the houses, not inside the house, but just standing on a wall. And I looked into the house and I saw these are all graves. There's nobody living here. It's all about charnels in English, they say. These are houses where people are dead in it. I kind of got freaky. I said, my God, I came on the other side. I don't want any, dead man touching me. It's getting really dark. And I was losing my energy. So kind of I flew over the highest, roof. It was a flat roof, maybe 3-4 story. In the darkness, somebody came towards me. And I said, don't come. If you do, I fly away. He said, no, I don't come. My name is Yusuf Ali Seysani. I said, how come your life is like this? You live in it. He said, yeah, some people are rich, some of them are not. I'm not so rich. I said, listen, if this is the other side, where's Baha'u'llah's house? He just showed me one house. And that was the last power of flight I had. I just flew right to that house and I knew if I knock the door will be open, I'll be saved. I just knocked the door opened. I see a hallway, and small hallway, maybe 4 feet. And beside the hallway, 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms right there. And in the hallway, Baha'u'llah is lying down on some bed on the floor with some blanket on his head. As the door opened, he, got up a little bit and he looked at me. And in the dream, it was a strange. I was like a 12-year-old kid, with my eye down. He looked, he paused, and he said, okay, Abbas, come here. And he took me like a little child, like he was like a big beard, like a grandfather. He actually put me right beside himself, told me, it's okay, be here. And this is one dream. And it was 2-3 nights after that, I had this most strangest dream again. I'm in one building, in a hall. There's this wide staircase, maybe 10 feet. From upstairs, Shoei Effendi, along with some of his entourage, are coming down. And the bottom, all the Baha'is were talking. As soon as it comes down, everybody lined up on the wall, He was a shorter man with a little hair, he didn't have, kind of bald in the head. It was very wonderful, very rigid and so powerful. He talked to everyone and this and that, and he came rich to me and he just gazed at my eyes. He said, oh, Mr. Taimuri, you're here. I was kind of embarrassed because I couldn't be, paying attention by him. I put my head down, kind of. He said, well, I have to tell you a story. And now everybody paying attention to see what Shoei Effendi is, how come he's paying attention to me. He said, King Cyrus, he said Kurosh or Cyrus. King Cyrus, the emperor, big emperor of Iran, had a very strange dream. He dreamt of a prophet that he acted very strange and weird. And he just went and did a lot of things to demonstrate the action of this young prophet. Like one of those punks, like a guitar player, that you see in the band in the Western country. And everybody was almost like laughing. And he then seriously stood and looked at me. He said, King Cyrus had a problem. He knew this man is a prophet of God. But he couldn't tell to people. Because of his actions, of the way he was. Nobody would believe him. And then he said, yeah, you remember this story, okay? And then he sat down right there. Sat down on the floor. I'm in the vision that I have. I'm just trying to think, why is he telling me this? What does this mean? I'm looking at him and he just keeps looking at me like this. I got up. This is when Council of Afshin told me to come down, and teach this. I never knew what it meant, really. But now I know the meaning. I think King Cyrus or Korosh is the universal laws of justice. That they know I have a message from Baha'u'llah for people. But they can't support me because there's a lot of backbiting and wrong reports and lots of stuff going on behind me. God knows what they say. God knows. And on account of that, they feel that if they support me, nobody would believe it and accept it. I think this is what it means and show you. But I stand in front of you and I tell you that if I'm accused of anything improper, bring it on. Because I have explanation for everything I've done. There's nothing I've done that's very, very extremely ridiculous or unimportant or, I don't know, irreligious, illegal, whatever. I have put all those things that the Baha'is, they attacked me all along in Canada for no reason but pure racism, bigotry, and I don't know what other reasons are there, but I've documented none of it is true. I stand today to tell you Baha'is and non-Baha'is that if there is a trial on this, I am willing to come down and defend myself if there are things as such that dream might meant. Anyways. So, another nice story, it's the strangest story, I guess. I told this before, but I don't have to tell. I was sitting again in that National Spiritual Assembly Baha'is in India, New Delhi, and one gentleman approached me. He came and said, "Oh, my name is Mr. Salahian. I have a daughter. I think you have to help us." And I said, "How?" He said, "My daughter is have psychological problem." I told him, "I'm not a doctor. Really, if that's that bad, I don't know what I can do." I said, no, you can do it," he said. Okay, so I said, "What's the problem?" And my wife is sitting there. He said, "My daughter, somewhere closer to Pune, around Bombay, I don't know, Ahmednagar, maybe the city called, that one Muslim fell in love with her, and she's a Baha'i, and wouldn't respond. She's a kid anyways, 15, 16 years. And she wouldn't respond to this boy. And one day she goes there to talk to them and see the boy has hung himself right from the ceiling in the kitchen with his tongue right out of his mouth. This scene has been such a horrifying thing that my daughter is so scared that doesn't want to talk to nobody. She can't even go to the toilet by herself. She's that scared. I said, "My God, you want me to solve this? How can I do it? What can I do about it?" He said, "I know you can do it." I said to my wife, Dorsada, "What is he saying?" I said, "Okay, where's the daughter?" They brought the girl, slender girl, Shadi was her name. I said, "Okay, let's go." I took her, me and wife actually, took her all the way down south in our house, and I started to teach her the Book of Certitude, some answered questions. I taught her in philosophy and some Arabic. And when I go to college, I come back and I ask her if you read all of these things, and I put a test, and I saw after 1 month everything done. This girl is so powerful, ready to go back home. She went back home. Her father, Mr. Salahian, somewhere in Ontario lives, I can't tell you where, but he comes and he wrote a letter that he said to me, like Michelangelo, my daughter was a stone, but you, like Michelangelo, carved my daughter out of death into life. Whatever I owe you. It's pretty strange. The girl comes to India, comes to Canada, goes read microbiology, she gets interested into religion, goes all the way back, became the secretary of Dr. Ruh down up in Israel. Guess what? In my poetry in Iran, without even knowing, I say this word, that a drop of the love, of the ocean of your love, O Baha'u'llah, has been the Shadi creating voice of this God. I say to myself, I'm God, and I'm creating Shadi. Shadi, it means happiness. But this literally happened. This Shadi change was created. The name happiness, which is Shadi, became literal. And I said, God, isn't this what Bob says sometimes, the poet, they say things that they're knowing it, but it comes in truth? I said, this is one example. So when I sent the letter to Universal Laws of Justice in 1995, I had a witness of who I am. I don't know what happened. I know the last time I talked to her about a month ago, I thought she's there. when I wanted to talk to her, she almost crying, says that I can't talk to you because you're excommunicated and I'm not allowed to speak to you. She just banged the phone up. Look at this, This is one thing that happened in India. There was a lot of strange things in India in that pioneering, let's say, did. I remember one day about the same book that I wrote, that we went to teach it in India. I was going up north to see Consular Afshin. In the train, there were the member of the Universal, also the member of the National Spiritual Assembly in India. They were all in the second class train. I was with them. I met them. I talked to them. Dr. Munji, wonderful souls, Mr. Shah. They're so humble, so casual, so receiving. They just liked me very much. And Mr. Shah said, "You have any problem? Come right down, boy." I went there and I don't know, something about living, they fixed it right away. They told me that Dr. Munji was interested in me. He said, I'm going to go in Trichy. I want to meet you there. So this book, before it was taught, I sat down with him one night in the same room. And he actually read my book and he did some editing. There's a part of the original book that he said it has to be cut off. And he said it's a very good book. He said that I had a dream that Abdul Baha gave me a book. When I opened it was all white. There was nothing in it. He wanted me to write a book. He said, I'm looking for somebody that I could talk to. It never happened. He died later on. And I got scared and said, I don't want this to happen to me. I want to have to say what I know. If I can't talk it, if I can't read it, I can talk it. That's what I'm doing right now. This was one meeting I had with Dr. Munji, a tremendously knowledgeable individual. My God, this guy was very, very strange. Big, fat guy. But he had some kind of eyes. He was just looking at you, right through you. It was very, very effective. Me young, I was 25, 26 years old. So, of the people that we were around there in that city, one day I remember we went for teaching. It was not exactly teaching, it was going to these villages for gathering the local Baha'is for election. They wouldn't come, those Indians are very spiritual but strange, so we had to go and get them. I remember in one of the villages we went, the guy said that, you are teaching Baha'i faith. Is it about God? I said, yeah. He said, look, I'm so poor, I need water, I need rain, or my crop dies. Can your God do this before we do anything? I looked at him. My wife is there, and one Indian fellow is alive probably somewhere. His name is Moto Kumar. He was our guide. I said, Moto Kumar, tell him that I heard you, and I think you're right. I'm today going to stand on your side. And I think you're right. God will have to do something. Since you were teaching you, I heard you. He looked at me and said, okay. So we went a couple of other villages and we came back. Some kind of a crazy thing happened. As soon as we entered the same village, in India, I'm talking closer to equator, Tamil Nadu, Sri Lanka, it started not to rain. It was hail. I'm telling you, as big as the first few hours were probably a baseball and then like a golf ball. People had never seen that before, they said. It was like in a few minutes, like a whole village was full of white balls. I said, Moto Kumar, God did it, didn't he? He said, yeah, it's very strange. I've never seen this in my life. Person is serious. So, there were a few people that are very nice. I always remember them. One of them was Mr. Pusti. Mr. Pusti, his name was Baha'i actually, Baha'i Pusti. He was a Persian old man with his wife. He was in Madras. This man was a sense of spirituality. His house was almost like a hotel. Any Baha'i goes there, invited in his house, and she would go and cook food, beautiful Persian cook for us. just indifferently respecting everyone that goes there. It was so amazing, this Mr. Pushchi and his wife. May God bless him. I heard